We know that World Cup qualifying is finished, but there are still some pressing issues to talk about. On today's episode, we will talk about a hot topic in Iran and the future of Dragan Skocic. You know the deal, and you know what time it is. It's time for teammelitalk. It seems like there is always controversy in Iranian football. Hi everyone, welcome back to teammelitalk. Joining me once again is my good friend, Arash Ostovari.
Arash, welcome back to teammelitalk. Always a pleasure to have you on the show.
Hey man, glad to be back in the show.
Recently, there's been a hot topic involving Iranian football, and we're talking about Sarbazi, which is the mandatory military service that Iranians are required to complete. But our viewers would like to know more about how this law works and how it affects Iranian footballers.
And to answer this question, we had the opportunity to get some input from Arash's friend, Mojtaba zare, former footballer for Persepolis and for Team Meli, the national team of Iran. Let's see what he had to say.
در مورد سربازی و تاثیرش تو زندگی و فوتبال حرفه‌ای باید بگم که شما زمانی که 18 سالتون باید برید سربازی، یعنی زمان ما رفتیم سربازی در صورتی که بهترین شانسی زندگیمون رو از دست دادیم. یعنی شما زمانی که میتونستی بهترین قرارداد، اون زمان که قرارداد 200 میلیون بود، مثلا ما میتونستیم همون 200 میلیون رو بگیریم، ولی به خاطر سربازی رفتیم سربازی که مثلا کلا شاید 1 میلیون در سال نمیگرفتیم. سربازی حالا ما شانس هم آوردیم که تونستیم تو سربازیمون به جاش هم فوتبال بکنیم، ولی آموزشی هم رفتیم. ولی بعضیا که هستن که واقعا از بین میرن به خاطری که مثلا تیم زیادی نیست که بخواد سرباز بگیره و ممکنه از بین بری. یعنی از منظورم که زندگیت، یعنی چجوری بگم، از 100 یعنی از 100 میتونه به 0 هم برسه. که در مورد آقای سیاوش یزدانی و مرادمندم باید بگم که بله اونا هم الان اتفاقا شانس خیلی خوبی آوردن که تو 18 ساله‌ای نرفتن، چون اونجا بهترین سال فوتبالیشونه. زمانی هم رفتن که الان دیگه هر کدوم 30 سالشونه.
Now, during Mojtaba Zarei's response, he mentioned Siavash Yazdani and Hossein Moradmand of Estaqlal.
And recently, Siavash Yazdani was loaned out to Malavan in the Azadegan League, the second level of professional football in Iran. And many of his supporters are very upset because they feel that this could have a really negative effect on his footballing career. Once again, let's see what Mojtaba zare had to say.
در مورد آقای سیاوش یزدانی و مرادمند باید بگم که تمام فوتبالیستا، یعنی 90% چون 90 تا 95% چون تو سن 18 تا 20 سالگی سربازی رفتن. ما دیگه بزرگتر از آقای علی دایی نداشتیم که اون هم سربازی رفت و خیلی فوتبالیستا تلاش میکنن، یعنی از سن 10-11 سالگی تا 18 سالگی تمرین، تلاش که بالاخره کارشون نتیجه بده، ثمر بده، تا تو 18 سالگی یهویی سربازی میاد جلوشون. حالا باید برن یا لیگ 2، بعدشون شاید لیگ برتر هم اوکی نشه که برن، ولی دیگه بعدش هم مجبورن میرن سربازی. یهویی دیگه هیچ شانسشون دیگه فکر نکنم 10% هم نمیرسه. شانسشون هم 10% نمیرسه که دیگه بخوان برگردن مثلا به لیگ، چون سطحشون خیلی رفته پایین و خیلی کم هستن که مثلا مثل مهدی طارمی که میاد میره سربازی بعد اینا 1% هستن. و آقای یزدانی، آقای مرادمند هم شانسی که آوردن، اینا تو 30 سالگی رفتن. یعنی اینا از 20 تا 30 سالگی هم قرارداد خوب بستن، نوش جونشون. هم بالاخره همه ما خبر داریم از قراردادها، از خونه‌ها، از زندگیشون، ان شاءالله که مبارکشون هم باشه. ولی دیگه کی باید برن سربازی؟ تو 50 سالگی دیگه نباید بره سربازی. الانم خودشون هم میدونستن که بالاخره یه روزی توی فوتبالشون باید برن. دیگه تو 30 سالگی شد که خیلی هم شانس آوردن، یعنی زمانی هم رفتن که دیگه همه چی اوکی، زندگیشون اوکیه. حالا فوتبالیست هم دیگه نشدن، هم دیگه بعد از این هم خیلی هم پیشرفت نکردن دیگه مشکل نیست، ولی چون زندگیشون الان اوکیه و مطمئنم تیم ملوان هم فوق العاده تیم خوبیه که اینا هم رفتن، امسال هم میاد لیگ برتر و بازم میتونن خودشون نشون بدن و برگردن به سطح اول.
First of all, thank you, Mojtaba, for sharing your insight. Really do appreciate it. Glad you're able to join us on Team Meli Talk.
And now, Arash, staying on this topic a little bit longer, I can't help but look back at the list of players that were called up for Iran's recent qualifiers against South Korea and Lebanon. And of course, I'm mainly focusing on the center backs. So out of those 5 center backs that were called up, Siavash Yazdani was not on this list. Now, in your opinion, do you think the mandatory military service has hurt Siavash Yazdani's chances of continuing to play for Iran?
Definitely, it has, because they are now moving to a level, lower level in Azerbaijan, and also they haven't been really used in Malavan because Malavan decided to continue with their own squad, and even Mazi Arzar said that they are not really mentally to play. So if a player is not playing for weeks, definitely their chance to be called up to national team is decreased a lot.
Now, when going back a bit on what Mojtaba Zare had to say, he said that he expects Siavash Yazdani and Hossein Moradman to come back to the Iran Pro League, especially with Malavan getting promoted. But, he didn't really say that, hey, don't worry, Yazdani still will be able to play for Team Meli, everything will be fine.
Well, I think it will be difficult to be called up to a national team with this situation, as I mentioned earlier, playing in Azerbaijan and not be able to playing for weeks. The coach is mentioning that you're not mentally ready. It will be difficult.
We are getting closer to wrapping up this edition of Team Meli Talk, but first it's time to talk about Dragan Skocic.
Arash, when you made your first appearance on Team Meli Talk, you were not very positive when Dragan Skocic was hired as head coach of Iran. And that was back in 2020. So what is your opinion of Dragan Skocic now?
Well, I'm pretty thinking the same now, and especially with after the draw about the World Cup, my concern has been a bit increased. That is, are we really going to make it with Dragan Skocic there or not? Because literally, to be honest, if you analyze the previous matches that we did in during qualifications, I didn't really see a specific tactic for Team Meli. And when the only time Team Meli met a solid team like Korea, you saw the match, and it was unacceptable for me. And I still believe that he is not in a level to be the coach of Team Meli in the World Cup.
Changes have been made recently in the Iranian Football Federation. Hamid Estili was recently named as the director of Team Meli. So do you think these changes could have an effect on Dragan Skocic's job as head coach of Iran?
Well, I hope. There's no doubt that Hamid Estili is one of the legendary players of Iran of all time. And I absolutely respect that. But I hope that he stick to his own duties and responsibilities that has been given to him in Team Meli. That I think that will end up a better result for Team Meli if everyone knows their duties and responsibilities, and a good combination and teamwork together.
And if there's one more thing for me to share, it's something that really needs to be shared. And yes, there have been some rumors recently about, perhaps Iran might want to get a better coach for the 2022 World Cup. And, I feel like I'm in this status, I'm in this situation where I say that I am not saying that Skocic should be fired or that Skocic should get sacked. I'm not saying that at all. I do appreciate what he's done so far. Obviously, there's room for improvement. But I am able to say that if he were to be replaced, there's no way that I would find myself being outraged about this decision.
I hope if there is any change, it has happened now, so that the new coach got enough time to prepare the Team Meli for the World Cup, and they don't go for last moment things. Because if it's a last moment change, I would rather they just go continue with Skocic.
Arash, as always, really appreciate you taking the time to join me on Team Meli Talk. Once again, a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me.
And of course, best of luck to Team Meli, the national team of Iran. And that's it, everybody, for this edition of Team Meli Talk. As always, really do appreciate the support. Make sure you get to our website, www.teammelitalk.com. Remember, this is your best source for the latest news on Team Meli, the national team of Iran. Make sure you find us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You know the handle, at teammelitalk. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe. Hit that notification button. See you on the next edition of Team Meli Talk.